Doctor, where we'll be diving into the world of health and fitness with some of football's biggest and brightest.
Contactless was the best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest.
We'll discuss the importance of talking about your health in sports as well as in everyday life.
Mental health doesn't really discriminate. It can affect you at any time.
I didn't want to see people physically seeing me weak.
You know your body better than anyone else.
Because when it comes to your health, everyone needs a reliable team behind them. To watch the full episodes, head over to the Sky Sports Premier League YouTube channel.
Bro, could you explain why that campaign was particularly important to you, and why did you bring it today?
Yeah, so we've been working with Boots Online Doctor now for the last 3 years, and that clip there is the third part of the series. So what kind of started with a brief to drive brand awareness for Boots kind of tapped into such a wider cultural conversation around men's health. So yeah, it was kind of it ended up being a kind of a purpose-driven campaign that got men to open up and talk more. So Boots Online Doctor originally came to light because of the pressure on GPs, and they tried to alleviate that pressure. So for people to go to Boots Online Doctor before they went to the GP, but the challenge was that only 2 in 20 men actually had even heard that the service existed. So they had a big job to do in terms of brand awareness and speaking to men kind of naturally, and that's where Sky Sports came into play. So they anchored their campaign off football, because we know that men are heavily engaged with football. And this goes kind of far beyond the 90 minutes that they watch the game on the screen. It's across platforms, it's across multiple times a day. So kind of tapping into this passion point and then using the credibility of Sky Sports and collaborating with Boots, we was able to create content that featured Premier League stars. And we interviewed Premier League stars around their health, and these interviews, they weren't glossy, they were human, and we really got these footballers to open up, and you know, it was really well received, because it was seeing these people out of the spotlight. So you know, just seeing them just kind of like men facing the normal challenges that everybody else faces. So we had Eze in the first series, and he spoke about the emotional toll of getting an injury just before the Euros, and kind of the pressure that put on him. In the second series, we had Jordan Pickford, and he talked a lot about his diet and his pre-match and post-match indulgence, and his post-match indulgence was a kebab pizza. And then in the third series, it was Dan Burton, and he talked a lot about fatherhood, and he also talked about being overlooked at a grassroots level and not getting picked for his county, and the impact that had on his self-belief as a young boy. So it worked because, you know, it was relatable, and I think Dan Burn mentioned in that clip that, you know, mental health doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anyone, no matter how big your wages are, no matter what background you're from, and you know, I think that this kind of opened up a conversation for people to talk about it. It was a really successful series. The first series delivered 53 million views. It increased brand awareness for Boots by 33%. And I think in terms of kind of the future of media, you know, kind of planning for fragmentation, I think that this is a really good example to talk about, like, planning for passion points and tapping into those communities and platforms that people are heavily invested in and heavily engaged, because that's where you're going to kind of lift brand awareness, but then kind of spark a conversation and drive a change as well.
If in one word you could describe why this campaign is so important, what would it be?
I just think it's because it kind of like tapped into that cultural conversation, and it made a difference. It made a change, and some of the responses and the comments from some of the clips that we posted, they were just so heartwarming. Like, people really commending these footballers for opening up and speaking out. So. Yeah, I just think it kind of changed that narrative, you know, and tapped into a really engaged audience.